What's going on, everybody? I'm back again today for a quick video because we are getting the new patch notes today. And I just want to talk a few things about what I would really like to see with this patch notes. I'm going to steer away from like content type things in terms of like season one mechanics or like season one things to do because we kind of already have a good idea. And arguably, there isn't really going to be any more content. So if that's something that you're really looking out for, you're probably not going to get it in this season. So I'm going to focus more on quality of life and direction of the patch. Let's start off with that first one because this is going to be a key one. And I have quite a few on my list that I would really like to see in this. Although I know they've already talked about it, potential things that they're going to add, they may do some surprise things. And this is what I want to see. First off, social features as a really, really important quality of life thing that a lot of people are missing out on and really makes the game very difficult to be played as an MMO, as it's kind of supposed to be, where grouping up is very difficult and completing open world events, etc., as a group would be very difficult to do unless you have a dedicated player, either community or something like that. Second thing is, I would really like to see a lot of quality of life around skills and Paragon. And part of that could be potentially reducing the cost. But mainly, what I want to mention is the actual just act of interacting with these menus really sucks right now. Like, they could easily add a refund all button for the Paragon. These are very simple changes. I don't think these are things that, like, you need a full dedicated season to try to figure out, right? But I would really like to see some sort of quality of life adjustment towards interacting with our skills and our Paragon towards coming up with this next patch. The third thing that I really, really want to see is something to do with stash and stash space. This is a very, very big pipe dream, I would say. But the actual problem we have now is a lot of people are using characters as mules. And some of you who have been doing that may have characters on the Eternal Realm that you would like to keep. And you can see here we have 5 of 10 slots. And some of you in the comment section actually brought this up. And I think it's a very, very important point to make. And that is that we're not going to be able to make a bunch of characters to mule up our season 1 gear because some of those slots are going to be filled with eternal characters and potentially mules that we had for eternal characters already. For me, I'm planning on not deleting perhaps the 2 eternal characters that I have the most invested into. The other ones I'll probably just scrap because I don't really care about them. I've already deleted some characters already because, I mean, who cares? I'm mainly focused on the season. So muling gear and things like this is going to be really, really tricky come season 1. We're going to have so much less space for all these things. And it's going to really suck, I would say, for going into multiple characters potentially, or even just one character. And if you wanted to kind of develop multiple builds on them, it's going to be really, really poor. Another thing that I really would like to see, and perhaps the last one on this list, is some sort of optimization when it comes to legendary aspects and uniques and all that stuff. This is something more for your casual players, but even goes as far as to the super endgame players, because there's 2 sides to this. One, I'd love to see a way that people can access builds and be able to play their builds but not potentially drop the absolute min-max item, but just be able to have the aspect available to them some way or another. But even more so than that, because you could argue like increased drop rate, and that goes into the next point, which is high-end players are literally not able to interact with the uber uniques of the game. And while some people don't care about this, like, oh, they're supposed to be this like once in a lifetime type of thing, that's fine if that's your position. I understand. But to me, I think that it's just less fun. Like, it's just less fun. They, in my opinion, should be more of like a primal item or even like harder to acquire than a primal item in the season, and you should be able to acquire 1 or 2 of them during the season. Right now, like, you'll probably never get one in the entirety of your entire playthrough of Diablo 4 for the next years. Okay, that's how rare it is right now. Like, it's just not feasible, and so that to me is less fun. Those are the 4 things that I just wanted to mention really quickly about what I would like to see in terms of additions to the game and quality of life adjustments. As for the actual patch, I'm not going to dive super in depth here. There's a few things that I really want to see within the actual patch notes for class builds and like nerfs slash buffs. And the first thing that I really want to see is a lot of buffs towards these skills that are not necessarily being used, or aspects that make them additionally build defining. Okay, we're going to get new aspects, so hopefully those aspects are build defining. And for example, introduce things like new mechanics towards Barrage or Flurry for the Rogue, although Rogue is probably the most balanced class in the game in terms of which builds are good, right? Like Rogue has the most good builds, I would say, in the game. So perhaps Rogue is a bad example. Necro might even be a better one, where like Bloodlance is just absolute trash. Maybe give some sort of aspect that makes it, completely AoE or something like that. Something build defining that makes it really, really good. I'd love to see that. And I also don't really want to see them go super hard on nerfing a lot of the really top end builds. And I doubt that they're going to listen to me on this one. I'm not going to listen to anything on this, but I don't want to see them like gut Bone Spear or guts Twisting Blades Rogue if that's too broken, or guts Hammer of the Ancients, or any of these builds, or Tornado Druid. To me, yeah, they're going to be pretty strong. They're already going to make stronger builds. They mentioned that these new hearts are going to be build defining and like game breaking. And if that's the case, well, perhaps these builds, yeah, they probably need a little bit of a nerf, but I don't want to see them like nerf them completely and utterly. I'd rather them kind of break the difference and nerf the top end builds a little bit and then buff up the other skills to make them a little bit more viable. Obviously, that sounds pretty obvious, but just don't go all the way. I don't think that, as many other people would say, all buffs are a good thing. And I also don't think that all nerfs are a good thing. There's always a balance. Nerfs definitely have the place in the game. And I think Bone Spear, for example, is a great example of one thing or one build that should be probably nerfed. Whereas, perhaps Tornado Druid, or a better example might be Hammer of the Ancients Barb without the bug, probably doesn't need a nerf at the current moment, unless there's another bug that comes in, because Barbarian is infinitely bugged and it did exactly what we said it would do before launch happened, which is it has so many aspects, it has so many bugs with it, it had so many potential options to break the game, and it's exactly what it's doing, but that doesn't mean it needs nerfs, okay? I'm fighting for you Barb players out there, guys. It doesn't really need more nerfs, it just needs to be fixed, okay? Like, it's just bugged out right now where it's doing billions of damage every 2 seconds in the game. Some new bug pops up. Like Bulwark Druid needs fixed. It doesn't need nerfing necessarily, unless, they fix the bug and it's still broken, but I doubt it. That's what I expect, or that's what I feel like we really, really could use in the game for the patch. I don't know if I expect it. That's a pretty bad word, but I really would like to see a few of these things. I think more so than anything, people flame the game for being unfinished, beta version, trash game, mainly because of the quality of life that isn't there, that probably should be there. And so doing a lot of these things, especially the stash space, would go a long way to making people not feel that way. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. New video is going to come out in a couple hours after this one, maybe a few hours after this one, with the new patch information. I'm assuming they're going to drop it at their normal time. If you want to check that out, be sure to sub, and I'll see you all for that video.